Weston. I love talking about the Rangers, and I'm here to talk about the past three games for the New York Rangers, which would be game 75, 76, and tonight's game, which was game 77 of the regular season. And you're probably asking yourself, Weston, where on God's earth have you been? And I've just kind of been stupid busy the past week and a half, honestly. And especially since the start of baseball, I've really had to choose the battles of which games are going to get videos, and unfortunately, I haven't much picked the Rangers. I've been picking the Astros pretty consistently. I've still been watching the Rangers, I've still been keeping up with them, but when it comes time to it, I've just been like, well, I am going to dedicate it to the Astros, and fallen a bit behind. Now, obviously, when the playoffs roll around, the Rangers are going to equal the Astros in importance, but until then, when the games right now just kind of are being played because they have to be, the Rangers have already locked up a position, more than likely already locked up first spot in the Metro, and more than likely kind of already locked up a President's Trophy win. It really is seeming like that. I've just had a hard time getting up for them, but, I think my compromise, and I might even get back to the Gamely video next week, but potentially just a couple games at a time until they get to the playoffs, and then each playoff game will get its own video. So, you got the three games to talk about this week. The main storylines I want to hit is the bottom six as of tonight, really. The bread line, which continues to just, dude, they look so freaking good together. Especially Lafreniere, he's been cooking as of late. And, the first, 2 seconds of the game on Wednesday. We'll start with tonight because it's the most recent. The Rangers end up winning 4-3 against the Detroit Red Wings. And it's a game where the top six forwards, they were there. They were good. Panarin had a point. He had it off the power play for the Chris Kreider goal. Chris Kreider, again, he had a goal. Mika Zibanejad had an assist on that play, too, if I'm not mistaken. So that's good. The three of the top guys getting points. You like to see that. Panarin's line, if I'm not mistaken, Panarin, Trocheck, and Lafreniere combined for 10 shots. That's good. It was 4 for Panarin and 3 for Trocheck and 3 for Lafreniere. The top line of Zibanejad, Roslovic, and Kreider only had, I want to say, 7 total shots and 6 or less at even strength, which is not where you're looking. Rangers won the game tonight, partially because Jonathan Quick was stupid good. Jonathan Quick, despite the 3 goals, had a very, very, very good evening. The bottom 6 guys. Will Cooley had a really solid goal. Nice job of intercepting the puck, and you throw it on net, you hope it sneaks through. I've talked about it a lot with Will Cooley, and I can probably hear people groaning as I get ready to say it. Playoff goals. Grimy goals. Granted, that one wasn't, in the crease grindy, but it was just well, I have the puck. Might as well yeet it on net and hope it goes in, and it did. And those are the type of mistakes that teams are going to make in the playoffs, and those are the type of moments that you can very well win a game or a series off of. And you might laugh at me when I say that. The Rangers have allowed some dumb goals as of late. I don't recall, and I'm sure I'm being recency biased, especially because one of the goals went in off the skate. But at least they were, near the net being a pest. That was just a floating shot that happened to sneak through. Those are the type of things that happen in the playoffs and are backbreakers. You also had Barclay Goodrow, who after scoring 2 games in the first 75 games of the season, has potted 2 tonight. He's potted 3 over his last 4 games. Hockey is the dumbest sport on the planet, in case you were wondering. One goal in 70 games, 3 and 4. And I'm not trying to tell you that Barclay Goodrow is going to single-handedly take over a playoff series, because that's very, very, very likely not going to happen. Nothing's impossible, so who the hell knows? That'd be very entertaining. It probably won't, but the bottom 6 contributing in any way going into the playoffs would be massive. And it speaks to the fact that the Rangers are not, and I'm not trying to dunk on any particular team, they're not a top-heavy team. They're not driven by 2 guys, and then there's a bunch of others around them. And I'm not even taking a shot at the Oilers. I'm just saying in general. This is not a couple of guys. They are a deep team. They can roll very consistently 3 lines, and if they continue to do what they've done tonight and a couple nights ago, not the Wednesday game, although we will get to that, dude, they might be able to legitimately ice 4 lines a night and look competent doing so. And that is the type of depth that I have just not felt the Rangers have had in a very long time. And you might say, well, Weston, what about last year? Last year barely counts because they did not look like they cared at all. And I will make you wait and squirm because the second thing I'm going to talk about is not that part of Wednesday. It's the fact that the bread line continues to look utterly fantastic. Artemi Panarin got another goal. He got him on the board first in that game. Beautiful little touch pass from Alexis Lafreniere, just batting it over to him. Like, off a rebound, such a quick move, such a confident move, and such a confident pass from Alexis Lafreniere. He is feeling more and more confident, and dude, next year, I've said it, 70-plus points. He is going to be stupid good come next season. He's already looking good this season, and I'm very excited to see his postseason. But I am all the way up on Alexis Lafreniere heading into the next year. He also had a very nice little nifty goal, put the Rangers up 2-0. They would end up blowing that and having to come back in the game, but it was fine. He had another multi-point game. All of a sudden, Alexis Lafreniere flirting with a 50-point season. And you might say, well, that's not, like, ridiculously impressive. That's a good year, but that's not stupid. We were begging for him to show any sign of life. And this season, Lafreniere has shown a great sign of life. He's been a 50-point player on one of the best lines in hockey with one of the best players in hockey. And he and Artemi Panarin just continue to build that chemistry. And I know he did not have any points in the game Wednesday, but Vincent Trocheck is just the premier center. He is what you want. He is old-style hockey. Just wins like to every face-off possible. Disgusting, filthy little grimy guy in the corners. Loved him on that line. That is like the ideal hockey line. It's so entertaining to watch. And speaking of entertaining to watch, the first 2 seconds of that game. Hey everybody, what's the worst idea you ever had? Well, for the Devils, it was deciding that you wanted to respond to the New York Rangers by getting into a 5-fight line brawl to start the game and losing every single one of them. Devils fans go off into the corner and weep at most. At most, you could say that maybe the Curtis McDermott and Matt Rempe fight was a draw. That's it. Dude, VC had a very good tilt and beat Curtis Lazar. You had Keandre Miller beat the absolute brakes off of John Marino so bad it bordered on a crime. Barclay Goodrow very easily won his fight against Kevin Ball. And you had Jacob Trouba fighting Chris Tierney, and again, very quick fight. Trouba won that. You could maybe say that McDermott and Rempe drew. I still think Rempe got the majority and the lion's share of the hits on that game. And, dude, I understand that he has laid a couple of hits that have not been good. I would say one hit that has not been good. And he was given supplementary discipline for that. And I think he needed to be given supplementary discipline. Sheesh. He was disciplined for it and was suspended. And I think he was right to be suspended for that hit. However, he is so gosh darn fun to watch. He is a massive freight train, and everywhere he goes, he lights guys up. And then this game, where they get into the fight off the draw. Dude, Matt Rempe is going to single-handedly bring back fighting in the NHL. And you might say, Weston, it's always been around. No, like the old fighting. Like the long tilts. Not the little, like, 2 or 3 punches thrown and then the ref step in. Like the genuine fighting of the 1980s and late or early 90s. And I am all the way here for it. The Rangers are bringing back the Broadway bully moniker, and I couldn't be happier about it. Like, here's the thing. The Rangers brought in guys like Reeves and Goodrow a couple years ago to get tougher and to bring in the Gur factor. But they never felt like they kind of had it. I felt like Reeves had it. Obviously, Ryan Reeves had it. I felt Barclay Goodrow had it. They never felt like this. Because it's one thing for your big, tough guy, Matt Rempe, to go get into a fight. It's one thing even for the captain, Jacob Trouba, to go get into a fight and get ejected after 2 seconds of a game. And like Goodrow, again, yeah, I can see that. Jimmy Vesey getting into a fight off the draw? Okay, we're getting there. Keandre Miller. And people want to complain about Keandre Miller because, oh, well, he's bigger than John Marino. Keandre Miller didn't initiate the fight. He sure as hell finished it, but he did not start that. It's not indicative that the Rangers have a couple of guys that can fight. Anyone on their roster, top to bottom, whether they're fourth line or debatably the top pair defensemen, are willing to go get down and dirty and are willing to beat the brakes off of another team. And they did in that game. You also then had Will Cooley getting into a fight. I will check that because I forget who it was against. Dawson Mercer. And again, Cooley won that fight. Debate a wall. I don't care. The Rangers won all 6 fights. It was a thing of beauty. There's only 5 games left in the season, and the Rangers are priming themselves to roll into the postseason as perfectly as you possibly could. They very well could have home ice through the Stanley Cup final at the rate they are going. The top line is there. They have their moments, and I honestly have no problem believing that Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, and hopefully Jack Roslovic are going to come alive. At the very least, Kreider and Mika Zibanejad very much enjoy performing in the playoffs. May we look a couple years ago to their run to the Eastern Conference Final. I have no qualms with them. And even last year, Kreider looked pretty solid, so I have no doubt that they're going to. The second line is absolutely rolling. The third line, as of late, has looked very impressive with Coley and Kakko and Winberg. The fourth line apparently can score, which is neat. The defense... It's the defense. It's always been the defense. Igor Shesterkin getting up for playoff games, I have absolutely no question about whatsoever. But it's also the mentality of how they're winning games. Either just the comebacks in these games, and also being completely done with being pushed around. They are not... you can't beat them physically. You just kind of can't. To the point now where, as they approach... I'm not saying they would, because I'm not that cocky. But a series between the Rangers and the Panthers, if you would have asked me after 20 games, after 30 games, even after 60 games, I would have said the Panthers would win in maybe 5 at the most. And now all of a sudden, I can see a world where the Rangers, if they were to do everything perfectly, could win that series. And that is something that I never thought I would be saying this season. I had the Rangers penciled in this season as like a wild card team, maybe third in the Metro. They have blown every expectation I had for the year out of the water. And as they approach, the mentality they show makes me think that there is absolutely no lid on what they could do come playoff time. They have the day off tomorrow, and they're back at it Sunday evening. 7 o'clock Eastern, they're in Madison Square Garden to take on the Montreal Canadiens. I may or may not be back for it. We'll figure it out as we go. But until next time, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Rangers.